Civale is able to keep his edge because, folks, he's been as good as you can possibly be without being perfect. A swing and a miss. High fastball got Osuna. 6 strikeouts for Civale.
Yes, we welcome in a man that masters the dog Instagram filter just as much as he masters mowing opponents down on the mound. A gamer, a chef, a dog dad. This pitcher might as well be an artist with how much he paints the strike zone. The master of look what I found where the ball just finds his mitt. We welcome in Aaron Civale. What's up, dude? Thanks for coming on the show with us today.
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
Of course. So truly very interesting. Obviously, I don't know if you realize this, but you set the fantasy baseball community on fire with responding to my tweet. So I really appreciate you interacting with me and willing to do this. Not a lot of players do it, so it definitely means a lot. And I think I speak for the entire community that being able to talk with you kind of about your game and you're willing to kind of open up about it is big for the community. So I just wanted to thank you for that to start out.
Yeah, no problem. It's not a problem for me at all. I'm glad to be here and talking to you guys.
Cool. So
the other day, and I agreed with it. So working on my stuff, and we'll get into it.
Awesome. So before we dive into everything, I want to say that I realized we had a lot of similarities when I was talking to you last night, just kind of corresponding. So first off, we both have Aaron in our name because that's my middle name. We also, I feel like, got both engaged around the same time. And we both have a young pup that we take care of. So besides you being a successful MLB pitcher and having a better beard than me, I think we're kind of a similar person. What do you think?
Yeah, both East Coast too, right?
That's right, yeah. Because you said you're up in Massachusetts, right?
Yeah, from Connecticut originally. So
awesome, yeah.
I was hoping you would shoot David down. I wanted his self-esteem to go down a little bit.
No need to do that.
Well, see, the one thing I was going to actually get into is before we kind of dive in here, you have an older brother, Nick, that I know is a big inspiration to you. We write for the same company, Fantrax, but you speak highly of your older brother, which he does not do of me.
That's so true.
So since I don't get compliments from him, do you mind talking about what your older brother, Nick, kind of has meant to you in your success to where you're at today?
Yeah. I mean, I love baseball since a young age, and he was I think I started playing around 4 or 5 and always just wanted to do whatever he was doing and fell in love with the game pretty much because of what he was doing. Always trying to do what Big Brother was doing, you know. But he was just there to make sure I was doing things right and going about things the right way and keeping me loving the game instead of making it feel like a job. And I still feel that way today. So I have him to thank me for setting me on the right path.
See, Eric, if you follow Aaron's example, you support and you talk good things about your big brother. Just take notes of that. So growing up in Connecticut, as you mentioned, you went to the Loomis Chaffee School in Windsor, home of the Pelicans. I hope I didn't mess that name up.
Yeah.
And then eventually went to...
That's fine.
What is it?
Loomis Chaffee, but that's fine.
Did I say Chaffee?
I'm used to mispronunciations. Civale doesn't usually get the right pronunciation. No worries there.
Okay, cool. So then you went to play ball at Northeastern University, where you made hitters look like little leaguers there. So can you talk about your time kind of going through that level and how it started shaping you as the pitcher that you are before you went to the Valley Scrappers?
Yeah. So my first 2 years of college, I was actually a reliever. Actually, like the week before finals started my freshman year, I got mono and over into the season a little bit. So I missed the first 2 weeks of the season because of that. And I mean, at this point, everything worked out for the best, but I was kind of like in line for that potential third starter of the weekend. With the delay of the season, just worked into a reliever role. And first 2 years were thrown into that. And I think sophomore year I was pretty much a closer the whole year. Me and one other kid, whoever was available, would fill that role. With that experience, I think I learned how to pitch in leverage situations and how to pitch with my off speed first. And once I transitioned back into starting, I kind of kept that same mentality. Obviously, college hitters are a little different than what I've been facing recently, but that mentality is still there. It's just longer outing as a reliever instead of every fifth day instead of every other day or whatever.
Yeah, and it really carried over was when you went into your professional career, starting in 2016 to 2019, when you got called up by the now just the Cleveland team for now, whatever they're going to be. Came out strong, 6 innings, 6 strikeouts against the Tigers in a 2-0 win. So awesome way to make your debut. But I want to kind of start talking about pitching as far as your 2 first big seasons in the big leagues here. And kind of, I know you said you saw the article that I put out for you yesterday, and I kind of wanted to go across what I saw and kind of your thoughts on everything. And if it's things that you take notice, not just what I say, but if, other things you might kind of look into your profile and kind of ways that you might keep approaches, change approaches, and that type of stuff for next season. So the first thing I saw was that you lowered your already great walk percentage from 7% to barely over 5% in 2020. And a big reason I saw this astronomical increase as far as just your efficiency in the zone was that you threw 41% of your total pitches in the zone in 2019. And that number jumped to 48% in 2020. And that 7% jump was the highest in all of baseball. And if you actually break it down by actual pitches, it was a 229 pitch increase, which the next closest pitcher with that number of pitches in the strike zone was 30 from Glasnow. So you guys were the only 2 pitchers that actually upped their pitches in the zone from last year. So I'm kind of curious, was that kind of going into this season something you knew you wanted to do to just kind of turn out that way? Can you explain that for us?
Honestly, until I saw the tweet about it, I didn't think twice about it. It wasn't a goal. Whether just situationally what I was doing last year, whatever needed to be done, I don't know if it was just situations of the game or whatnot. It was not intentional to increase the usage in the zone. Obviously, I'm always that's going to be part of my game plan, not throwing upper 90s. But as the pitcher I am with multiple pitches, I have to be creative with what I'm doing, and showing multiple pitches in the zone and is going to be beneficial, allow me to expand a little more. But I'm definitely digging into that to see if that was a positive increase of pitches in the zone, or if it's something I need to evaluate and move forward to what pitches were more in the zone and where were they and what were the counts, and use that moving forward.
Yeah, and by pitching more in the zone, it actually upped your K percentage while it decreased the walk rate that I had brought up before. But it seems a big kind of formula for your success, just from the little bit I was looking in, when you had your spinning cut fastball up in the zone and you paired that with your heavy ground ball sinker, kind of like a bowling ball type of thing. And then that effective curve that you have. Is this kind of the approach that you've kind of usually take, where you try to change that hitter's eye level consistency and consistently? Like you said, you don't throw the high 90s fastball, but I feel with all the stuff that you bring to the table that you have that really good gift of being able to kind of be that artist and throw different parts of the strike zone and change that eye level. Is that a part of your game that you take pride in?
Yeah, absolutely. I have to be a guy that throws strike to ball pitches or ball to strike pitches, which, for some clarification, just doesn't understand that. It's just a pitch that may start out of the hand looking like a ball and finish a strike, or start in the zone and then finish a ball. That's what I have to do with the velocity and movement that I have on my pitches. And that's the type of pitcher that I know I can be, whether it stays like that or I make some tweaks here and there. This game is always changing, and I'm always going to have to change if I want to continue pitching at the level that I'm at. I can't just stay and expect it to continue to work. Hitters also get paid a lot of money to do what they do. The more I pitch, the more scouting reports come out, and this game is always developing and changing. It's the same game, but the way that it's being played is always changing. So just have to continue to learn and grow and take what I have in my arsenal and use that to the best of what we can predict.
Now, Aaron, you mentioned that the game is changing, and there are sites like Fangraphs, and I looked earlier. So your ERA through the first time through the order is 3.81. The second time through the order was 4.91. And the third time through the order was 5.57. So my question, and this is kind of a two-parter, with the information now like Fantrax, is that something that pitchers look at? And what changes will you make, if any, facing hitters for the second or third time this upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, those websites are great. I'm my favorite person on. I think the information on there and the visuals on there. For me, I'm more of a visual person, so with all the diagrams and whatnot that they can put out there, that sticks with me better than just a bunch of numbers and words on paper. But yeah, I think navigating lineups is definitely a huge part of being a starter in the big leagues, and typically that third time through, you're not at 100% energy that day. I mean, you're never at 100% energy for the day. You're just at what you are for that day. You're never always feeling your best. Maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4 starts a year at a 30. But I think it kind of depends on the day, and obviously going into a game, as a starter, you want to get as far into the game as possible. But I know, I mean, evaluating my season that I just had, I think if you took away the best innings and my 9 worst innings, I think the numbers would have been a lot better on paper and a lot better indicator of what the work that put in. So I just have to go back and avoid those 9 innings that happened in a third of a season, and just be more careful. And it really just came down to probably no more than 40 or 50 pitches total in the season that could have been executed or gone a different way, and on paper would have been a completely different season. I'm not going to look too far into that. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, but I think just comes down to executing at the end of the day.
Eric, I'm stopping you here because we're on with Aaron Civale, and you embarrassed both of us, me and Aaron, with that question because 1, you did not bring up Baseball Savant, and 2, you called Fangraphs Fantrax, which is our podcast.
Oh
network,
my
right?
God. Okay.
So we're both embarrassed for you, but continue.
So one of the, I love your answers. They're very humble, and I love how you're looking forward. So 2019, you had 10 starts and you threw 57.2 innings pitched. And last year you had 12 games started. You threw 74 innings, which was 6th most in the majors and 3rd most in the AL. So is this the year that the training wheels kind of come off and the Indians are going to let you throw 200 plus innings barring injury?
I mean, that's a goal every year. Yeah. I think getting over 200 innings is super impressive in today's game. I know Bieber accomplished that at the end of last year, and just look what he's been doing. I'm not trying to say that that's what I'm aiming for, but I mean, why not? He's been one of the best pitchers in the game for the last year and a half, 2 years straight. I do think getting to that 200 inning mark is extremely impressive if you do the math out. Even if you threw 6 innings and 30 starts, that's still only 180. If you're getting to that 200 inning mark, you're obviously doing something right. That means you're pitching deep into games. Your numbers are good. You're giving your team a chance to win. And at the end of the day, it's the goal of the starter.
Yeah, well said. And going back to your starting, I want to actually talk about your stuff. You're the definition of a kitchen sink, man. I mean, you throw 6 pitches that I can't imagine as a hitter trying to decipher what's coming. And basically, you throw 5 different pitches anywhere from 9 to 30% of the time, which is, again, such a close range as far as you see for pitchers these days. So I'm curious, when I looked a little bit more into your stuff, I saw that you decided to up your curveball usage, knock down your slider usage, but your slider was actually really, really good in 2019. So my first question is, was there a reason that you decided to kind of cut the use of your slider, up the use of your curveball, and you plan to potentially throw more of your cutter to set up your breaking pitches as well this year?
For me, my 3 most comfortable pitches are my sinker, which I use more of a running 2-seam. It's just sinker spin, so it's just how it's labeled.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think many websites or anyone even really labels 2-seams anymore. It's just either 4-seam or sinker. So sinker, cutter, curveball are my 3 most comfortable pitches. I have a good idea of where I can miss with those, and when I do miss, what's going to happen. With that slider, it was a different grip this past year. Always tinkering with that. In the past, my slider has been a pitch that is either blended with my cutter or blended with my curveball. So still trying to figure out that right spot for that. Obviously, not super important to have that because there are so many other options for me. So when all three are working on any given day, that's definitely a good day for me. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I might throw 5 pitches, but on any given day, maybe 3 of them are what I want, or 2 of them are exactly what I want, and the other ones might just have to be. I don't want to say for show because they're still part of my arsenal. I don't want to degrade myself, but I think just moving forward, it's always a work in progress, and once you get into that 5th day, it's what you have that day and going from there. It's not necessarily about what you think you have or what you had in the past. You can't really do anything beyond what you're doing out there on the mound. So you just got to go in there and fight with what you got, basically.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you brought up that sinker is kind of a 2-seamer. So my first thing after this interview is to write a complaint to Baseball Savant to make sure they update that for you. But talking about that sinker 2-seamer, it seems I was reading into a little bit, and I know you're close with Roberto Perez, and you guys kind of have a lot of dialogue about kind of how you approach hitters. And I saw a quote that they were talking about your sinker 2-seamer was kind of riding into hitters a lot more this year as opposed to kind of staying in its lane. And it seemed to kind of come in to the barrel of the bat. And that kind of seemed why your barrel percentages and exit velocities and things of that nature were a lot higher this year. Was that something you noticed throughout the year? And can you talk about your pitch sequencing and how you talk about pitching with Roberto Perez? Because it seems like you guys have a pretty good dialogue between you two.
For sure. Just to start, he's an unbelievable catcher back there. Just an unbelievable confidence. I know going into the game, if I didn't prepare as well as I could have, or if I'm hesitant on one thing, I know he's back there and he knows what he's doing. He's done his homework, and he and I both work pretty similarly in game. We read the hitters and we make adjustments as a very good relationship that we've developed in a short period of time. And as far, sorry, I lost. What was the first part of that question?
That's all good. I always just talk a lot, so that was my fault.
No problem.
So I was saying your sinker 2-seamer.
Oh yeah,
It was talking about it coming in a little bit more this year.
Yep. So as far as data goes, I think it was a little less run and a little more ride, which of potential bad habit for him during the quarantine, or just something mechanically was changing. There's always little things being worked out. But I think the action on it wasn't as consistent as it was in 2019, which leads to placement in the zone not being exactly where I'm trying to throw it potentially every time. Obviously, I'm not going to pin needle it every time. Those where I know I'm aiming towards and I'm okay missing in certain areas, and those areas might not have been as locked in as I would have liked. You can aim for certain. If I'm going glove side up, I know that a better miss for me is to miss further up than it is to miss in the zone down. Without having that super consistent action, it's difficult to make those decisions because you got to get it enticing to swing at, but not in the barrel. So I think a little inconsistency with some action there, and just that's where I was referring to. Potentially throwing more strikes may not have been the most beneficial thing. Like I said earlier, I need to be a ball to strike pitcher for most of my pitches, so I would venture to guess that a lot of those hard hit balls were strike sinkers, or just in general, and that tends to be the hard hit balls are the ones that are just on the plate the whole time.
And David had talked about, that someone, the catcher, the other side of the battery, but I want to talk about someone kind of behind the scenes, and that's Carl Willis, the pitching coach. And I look at the Cleveland rotation over the years: Corey Kluber, Clevenger, Bauer, Bieber, Plesac, Carrasco, McKenzie, we joke in the fantasy baseball community that there's always something in the water because Cleveland pitchers seem to excel. So are there any pointers or mechanics that he teaches to get the best out of pitchers?
He definitely knows what he's doing, but he's one of many. every type of pitcher that comes into our organization, there's some kind of coach or instructor or analytical guy that can understand that individual's wavelength and how they learn and how to get the most out of their game. I don't think there's any cookie cutter answer. There's no magic answer. A lot of it is just building a relationship, which is what they've provided. I know I've known Carl for just over a year and a half. I met him for the first time. I met him once in spring training the year before, and I was still in minor league camp, and I met him basically for the real the first time right before my debut. But since then, it's been a easy, open relationship, and it's not been him telling me what to do or anyone else telling me what to do. It's always been back and forth communication, which is what I think the Indians do a really good job of, is not forcing anything on us, but once we do something, we have to have a good reason behind it if it is player driven. And they're good about that too. If a player comes to them with something, they're all for it as long as they can provide good reason for it.
Aaron, I want to switch gears here. I heard you like to dabble in some cooking, and I would like to say that I'm the Aaron Civale of cooking, a rising cook in the ranks, if you will. And so my first question to you is, anything you cook for your fiance right now that she brags and tells her girlfriends about?
I don't have a go-to meal, but we just started doing HelloFresh this off season, especially with everything going on, trying to avoid the grocery stores or whatnot. Just it's pretty simple. They send you the ingredients and you cook it. Obviously, everybody has to have some skills to put those meals together, but I don't have any secret meal or go-to meal. I like cooking. I enjoy it. It's fun for me. I do not have a go-to meal though.
You sound like a better cook than David already.
I just called myself the Aaron Civale of cooking. You can't beat that. So, I also saw, I think in this interview, that you have trouble cooking chicken.
I have in the
true?
past, but I've gotten over that.
Okay, because I had a couple go-to things for you, but it sounds like you got that figured out.
I figured that out during quarantine, so we're all good there.
All right, good. I love that. My next question for you. So your nickname, if I understand, is Civ, right?
Yeah, it's what everyone calls me, Civ. It's easiest.
So I had a couple ones that I would like to throw at you in case you think they're good. And if you just turn them down, I won't be offended. Hopefully you won't hate me after these nicknames, but I thought of them and I'm kind of proud. So just let me know if you like any of them, okay?
Sure, go for it.
So the first one I thought of is the AC unit. So you have Randy Johnson, who is the big unit. Your initials are AC, and you also are cool as a cucumber on the mound. So the AC unit. What do you think?
I'm not opposed, but I feel like you need to either be 300 pounds or throw 98 to have that kind of nickname. So I feel neither.
Shooting down his idea. I love it.
All right, we'll throw that one in the graveyard here. I got number 2 here, the chef, because you cook meals at home, but you also cook on the mound.
Hey, I'm not gonna self-impose any nicknames here. I think that's part of it. It has to be given to you. So,
but since if you just say, kind of a wink, wink, I like it. I will bestow it, and then it'll spread, and then it won't say that you gave it to you. So,
pretty broad, but
all right. The last one. So obviously your name's Aaron Civale, but the last part, valet, sounds like valet. So if we call you the valet because you park hitters to their benches after a failed at bat, what do you think of that one?
I don't know. That's a stretch.
Thank you. That's what I'm thinking right now. Like he's pulling anything out of his butt to tie two ends together, but it's creative.
I was like hoping one might stick. But.
Creativity. Those are some of those are big shoes to fill. So.
Well, maybe one day something will. If any nickname sticks, it'd be pretty cool. But Civ is still a pretty cool one. We're talking with Aaron Civale, great pitcher for the Cleveland baseball team, a rising star in the majors. Aaron, we'll get you out of here on this. We like to do a little bit of rapid fire with our guests with some interesting questions, just kind of this or that style. Are you game?
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
All right. So the first one, would you rather throw a no-hitter or make the All-Star team?
Ooh. I think a no-hitter, because if you throw a no-hitter, you're probably doing something pretty good, and you should probably have a good shot of making the All-Star team anyway.
It's happening this year. I can feel it.
The no-hitter?
Mm-hmm.
All right, fair enough. You can bring back only one of these 90s snacks. Okay, I don't know if you were a big 90s snacker guy, but Dunkaroos, Scooby-Doo fruit snacks, the Wonder Ball, or 3D Doritos?
Scooby-Doo fruit snacks, the blue one specifically.
Yes!
It was Scooby that was the blue one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
those were the best. All right, would you rather eat brownies with the chance of biting into a rock or eat an entire jar of mayonnaise?
Oh, brownies. I'll just go very gingerly into my bite.
Great. That's a great call.
Risk taker, I like it. Would you rather have one wish granted today or 3 wishes granted in 10 years?
10 years from now, 3 wishes.
It's a patient man. I like it. So you have I understand you like video games. Would you rather give up video games or you have to go full vegan?
So if I give up video games, I have to go full vegan? Or if I don't give them up, I have to go full vegan?
Yeah, so if you play video games, you have to go vegan, and if you don't give them up, then I'm mixing it up. Video games.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I would give up video games to stay not vegan.
Man likes his chicken. I like that. So, all right, next one for you. In a 9-inning game, you pitch a 9-inning complete game. All right. Your options are option A, allow 2 to 3 earned runs with 15 Ks, or allow no runs with 5 Ks.
How many runs do we score?
1 more than whatever you gave up.
Enough to give you the win.
Yeah.
We win. I'll take the 2 to 3 with 15 Ks.
I like it. Yes. I was hoping you'd say that. All right. Dinner with Samuel L. Jackson or Morgan Freeman?
Oh, that's a tough one. Star Wars movies are obviously big. Morgan Freeman's been in a lot of Batman series and all the other movies that Christopher Nolan. He's my favorite director, so I'd have to go with Morgan Freeman.
I feel like that's the right answer just because hearing him talk, I would just be intrigued the entire dinner. His voice just carries it. Last 2 here for you.
Samuel L. Jackson is a big golf fan, though, so that would be good.
Is he really?
One.
I didn't know you're a big golfer.
I like to golf. Yeah, I just started getting into it this year, pretty much for the first time. But
so then we got these last 2 here. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
I'm gonna say no.
You know, you're the first person to say that. Every single person I've asked this question, it says it is because there's 2 slices of bread and something in the middle.
It's 1 slice of bread cut halfway into it.
So that's what I agree too. I think people look into it too much. It's that 1 slice cut down. That Aaron, you're a smart guy, so I knew you were going to say the right answer for that one. So
I feel
that takes us.
The meat on a sandwich has to be like flat and like a long and pancake shaped, not tubey.
Well, so if you have a hamburger, then you don't call that a sandwich because it's the patty's like a thicker thing, then, right?
Their own type of food, I feel like.
I would call a burger a sandwich.
Oh, Aaron, you're confusing me now because I thought it was that thin piece that you said had to be in the middle.
Oh, not necessarily thin. Just it has to be more round, like more circular. It's hard to explain without drawing or being next to you, but.
No, I like that. So this is the most important one. I saved it for last. All right. So you might have to think about this one. So you're allowed to pitch 200 innings next year, which you may anyway, but it's guaranteed that you'll get 200 innings. The only caveat is I'm your catcher for 20 of those innings. Is it worth it?
I don't know, because that might be that's maybe 3 or 4 losses right there. So I don't know if I can risk that.
Let me sweeten the pot here. I've never played an ounce of competitive baseball in my life. Does that sway you at all?
I'll take my chances with Bebo.
I love it. Shooting him down, not even buttering up a little
Only
bit.
20
Just saying
innings?
no.
It could be 2.5 starts maybe, or
That could be 4 or 5 losses for the team, which could put us out of the playoffs. So
no, that's true. A true team player by not having.
Yeah,
me
and
on
David,
the
you're
team.
not going to add anything with the bat, so.
I'll be a good dugout presence. I'll have these questions for everybody in the dugout to keep it light.
we weren't allowed in the dugout this past year, so I don't know.
Well, that's right. Yeah, because you guys had to sit in the stands, right?
Yeah, we have like suites that are right on the field level down there, so we just were in there.
I mean, I'm hopeful if baseball starts, even if it's delayed a little bit, you think fans will be allowed in with the delayed start of the season, and you guys will be back in the dugout?
I sure hope so.
Yeah, well, Aaron, you're truly the man. Really appreciate and thank you for your time. Really a privilege for us to be able to talk with you today, and want to give you a chance if there's anything you would like to promote to our audience or anything like that. The floor is yours.
I don't have too much right now. Thank you. Thanks for having me on, and it's a pleasure talking to you guys.
Yeah, and make sure you follow Aaron on Twitter and Instagram at Aaron Civale. Got a lot of great stuff on his pages. You won't regret that follow. And
if you play fantasy baseball, make sure you draft him early, as he's a great guy and he's going to provide a lot of upside this year.
And my goal was for this interview, I said it off air. I said to make Aaron laugh once. I think I achieved that. It was very quiet, but I got one. So yeah, man, I just, again, appreciate you, and good luck in the next upcoming season.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. Thanks, Aaron.
All right.